Hello everybody, welcome to day 4 of Instant Pot Week. Today we're going to be talking all about ground meat and dishes that you can make for busy weeknights easily. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to give you guys a minute to join. I'm sorry the lighting's a little off. We're kind of having a nasty storm today. So, it's going, hopefully I will stay with you. Okay, let me drop these links. I hope that you guys are doing well. We've had a lot of positive feedback from all these videos. It seems like you guys are learning a lot, and I'm so grateful for that. I know Michelle is as well. And as always, ask questions. If you catch this later, feel free to still ask questions, and we'll do our best to come on and answer the questions to the best of our ability. All right. Hi, buddy. Thanks for joining again. Okay, I'm going to get these links up for you. If you haven't already joined our email list to get all the updates, go ahead and do so. The link is going to be here in just a second for you. And it'll just say enter. Be sure to sign up for all the news and extra giveaways, and that is where you're going to sign up for the email, and we'll send that out later this afternoon. Good morning, Angela. Thanks so much for joining. Okay, so I am super excited about today. Again, we are talking about Instant Pot beef, and it kind of blew my mind when I learned how to do this, so I'm super excited to share with you guys. All right. Okay. I think we're ready to get started. Okay. So, hey, Michelle. Yes, Michelle is my co-host for this Instant Pot Week. She's with Thriving at Paleo. She'll be live on her page today at noon Eastern Time. Thriving on Paleo, Facebook /Thriving on Paleo. And she's going to be showing us how to make a delicious beef stroganoff. Happens to be paleo too, but it's delicious for anybody, for any lifestyle, and it fits for all varieties of diets. And I am going to be showing you how to make ground beef in your Instant Pot. And at first, I just thought that it was as simple as hitting your saute button and sauteing up some ground beef, which in my mind I thought, why in the world would I use my Instant Pot when that takes just as long on the stove? So then I started to experiment with some things. I saw somebody dump fresh ground meat that had not been browned into their Instant Pot and cook it. And I thought, oh, that does not look good. To me, it seemed like it would be boiling meat. Hey, Kathy. Oh, I'm sorry. It's cold and snowy in Pennsylvania. My sister in Ohio sent me a message today that her kids have a snow day. My kids have a half a day for teacher work day, so they'll be home later this afternoon. And we just have the nasty rain, cold rain, which I don't like cold rain, but I don't like snow either. So anyways, back to the meat. I thought by dumping fresh ground beef into your Instant Pot, into like a soup or something, I thought, ooh, that's like boiling meat. To me, that just sounded disgusting, and like the texture would be off. But part of my job is to experiment with all things so that I can teach you guys, does it work? Is it something good to try? Is it successful? Will it make your life easier? And so, I got to work, and my mind was blown. I started with a frozen pound of ground beef. And you guys, I'm sure, are thinking to yourself, how many times have you gone to make dinner and you forgot to take the meat out of your freezer to cook dinner? I want to see some emojis going across, because I know we have all been there. I am a meal planner, and I plan for the whole week, and I still find myself like, ugh, I forgot to take my meat out. Well, this Instant Pot changed everything with frozen meat. I've shown you how to do frozen chicken, and now I'm going to show you how to do Frozen meat. Yes, me, Angela, totally. The frozen meat, this works, I'm using ground beef today, but you can do this with ground turkey, ground chicken, ground pork, any ground meat will work. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Again, you are going to open your Instant Pot. I already have meat in here, so cooked, but you're going to put your trivet into your inner pot. You're gonna put how much water? How much have we been saying all week? 1 cup of water in the bottom. Good morning, Jeanette. Thanks so much for joining me. And yes, Sherry, all the time we forget to defrost the meat. So you're gonna put 1 cup of water in underneath your trivet. 1 cup of water will just kind of brush the bottom of the trivet so that you can, it's not going to touch your potatoes, it's not gonna touch your meat, so your things are not gonna get soggy when you cook them on the trivet. But you want that 1 cup to achieve the perfect pressure. Okay, so then you're gonna sit in your frozen meat. Okay, I have a couple examples here. So this is typically what my frozen meat would look like if I buy it in like a 1.5 package. This is, this meat I believe I bought from Aldi. And I'm just telling you so that not because that's where you need to buy your meat, but because just to show you the size. It's about 1 inch thick. Doesn't really matter how long it is, the length. It really matters how thick it is, okay? So this is 1 inch. A lot of you buy your meat in a big tube, and then you need to cut it up, and I would flatten it into about 1 inch when you freeze it, so that you freeze it in smaller portions. That's a huge tip to do that. If you had like your whole 3-pound little brick and you wanted to stick it in here, you are going to have to increase the time significantly, and I will get to that. This is a pound of grass-fed organic meat that comes like in, one of those little square cubed packages, and so it's a lot thicker. It's more like 1.5 to 2 inches thick. So you're gonna base your cooking time based on the thickness of your meat. And I'm gonna start with showing you what I do for 1 inch, because this is what a typical like little carton of meat, ground chicken, ground turkey, ground beef from any grocery store would be. It would come flat in that little, in the little styrofoam container or little tray, and it would be about 1 inch thick, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your Instant Pot, you're going to put your trivet in, the 1 cup of water, and then you're gonna put your meat frozen right on top, okay? Then you're gonna set it back into your Instant Pot, put your lid on. You're gonna make sure that you turn it to sealed, the vent to seal, the steam or the valve at the top. This little valve right here, make sure that it's turned to sealed, just like that. And then, just like I have taught you, you're not going to hit the meat button. Let me show you what happens when you hit the meat button. Oh, it says the lid is off. Okay, it's set at 20 minutes for high pressure, but if I hit bean, it's 25, soup, 40, poultry, 5. These are all preset. You do not want to use the preset buttons. You want to be in control of your cooking time. So I'm going to hit the manual button. It's on high pressure, and I'm going to adjust this to 20 minutes. 20 minutes is all you need for frozen ground beef that is 1 inch thick. It doesn't matter if it's 1 pound or 2 pounds, if you can fit it in to your Instant Pot, or this is like 1.5 pounds. It matters how thick it is, okay? So 20 minutes for frozen ground meat. And then once it's done, you're gonna do a quick release. You can let it naturally release too. This recipe, it doesn't matter. Ground beef is not something that is going to toughen up dramatically. So you can let it sit and release naturally pressure, or if you're busy and you want dinner on the table quickly, you can release the valve and do a quick release. Remember to either use a towel and a wooden spoon to knock it, or like Michelle showed us yesterday, use oven mitts to knock it back too. And you're gonna let the steam come down and you're gonna open it. And you're thinking, okay, so what does it look like and what does it taste like and what's the texture? Because that's all the thoughts that I had. I'll troubleshoot here in a minute what you do for larger cuts of meat, or if you test your meat and it's not cooked. Stephanie, no, you only need 1 cup of water. You need 1 cup of water for an 8-quart and a mini and a 6-quart for the best pressure to be reached. So it doesn't matter the size of your Instant Pot, it more matters just that cup is the magic number. Okay, so let's see if you guys can see this. Inside your meat, and I have pictures like step by step on the blog because it's kind of hard to hold it. It just sits on there and it looks like a big brown brick and you're like, ew, gross, like who wants to eat that? Well, you take it right on out of your trivet like this, all the grease and the fat from your meat. Now I used really lean 93% sirloin. It kind of forms up at the top, or it drips down into the water. You have kind of greasy water there. I don't know if you can see. I'm gonna pour it everywhere if I try to show it to you. But all the grease drains down, so you don't have grease splattering all over your kitchen and all over your stove, and we've all had to clean that mess up. Sure thing, Stephanie. So your meat just looks like this. Disgusting, right? And I thought, why in the world? Like, I mean, it just looks like boiled meat. Does it taste good? Well, you take your spatula and you break it up, and it will turn into meat, just like you browned it on the stove. It will turn into little crumbles, and the texture is the same as if you browned it on the stove. In fact, it has a more even textured. It does not have a boiled textured. It tastes like perfectly ground meat, and I want to show you here. It takes a minute just to break it up, just as it would as if you were cooking it on the stove. So I'm going to show you here that once you break it up, it looks like, let's see if the camera will focus in on that. I mean, it looks just like ground beef, and you can crumble it up. It's great to use in tacos, the beef stroganoff that Michelle's gonna show us later. It's great to use for chilies. It's great for just about anything. But I've had a lot of questions. Can you season it before, like frozen, and put it in? Sure, you sure can, but just like it's gonna then sit on the top of the meat, and so it's not really gonna get into the meat. So what I suggest doing is once your meat has cooked, you break it up, you drain off that water, and then you season it. You can put it back in your Instant Pot on the saute function just to warm everything through, or if you want to develop those dry spices, especially if you're using like taco meat. Or you can just like season it as is or use it in a dish. Angela, you love this because when you try to defrost the meat in the microwave, then saute it, it's hard and chewy. It is, and it's not actually safe. I mean, it can be dangerous if it's not done correctly. Some of the meat can cook before the rest of the meat's defrosted, but it's like nasty and chewy, and some of it gets burnt and gross. This cooks it evenly. The Instant Pot cooks it evenly. It cooks it perfectly. But now I want to go through, like, well, what do you do if, like, you open it and your meat is not done? Have you ever done ground turkey? I have, Stephanie, and I've done ground chicken as well, and it works perfectly. For any ground meat, you want it to reach at least 160 degrees, and I strongly recommend just a little digital thermometer. You can use one that, you know, is old school and has, like, that you have to read with the arrows and stuff. But I love these digital thermometers. You're gonna stick it in your meat. Once your Instant Pot is done, you're gonna open it, stick it in and test the temperature. You want it to be 160. It will rest and get to 165, which is safe for poultry and beef. Or you can go closer to 180. Either one is fine. Between 165 and 180 is where you want your meat. If it's not done, what do? You just put your lid back on, hit manual, and you're gonna start to adjust it by like, I would do like 3 minutes at a time. And this will come, the Instant Pot will come to pressure quickly after you've done a quick release. It's not gonna take as long, and you won't have to wait and wait. But you should be good if your meat is about 1 inch thick. You should be good at the 20-minute mark. If your meat is more like the thick grass-fed, like little cube, I would go for 25 minutes. I would start to increase it by 5 minutes. If you have one of those huge little chunks, I would start at 25 minutes. You might end up being closer to 30, but for a huge chunk of frozen meat, I mean 30 minutes, like safely and with a great texture, that's awesome. You don't have to stick it in a cold ice bath water and keep it in your fridge or change out that water to keep that temperature even. So that's perfect. It works perfectly. I've had questions like, can you do this with fresh meat? Yes, if you don't want to stand over the stove and brown it, use the same method. Use your inner pot, put the trivet in, 1 cup of water, as much fresh meat as you want on top of that trivet. Again, like, it's all about the thickness. So if your meat, you know, if you put 3 frozen little packs together, I would increase it only by 5 minutes because each pack is only like 1 inch. So it's gonna cook them sort of individually, but they will sit on top of each other, so you're gonna need to increase it by a little bit. But I would start your big chunk of meat at 25 minutes, test it. If it's not at 165 to 180, I would seal it back and give it another 5 minutes. And then you can break it up and freeze it in small 1 pound portions or half-pound portions to pull out and use for dishes throughout the week for like beef stroganoff, chili, tacos, hamburger helper, like whatever you wanted. I have a recipe for homemade hamburger helper that you could use. So that works perfectly. What's the taste? So my husband, just so you guys know, he grew up on a cow farm and he raised cows for meat. And so he's a meat and potatoes kind of guy, and he is very particular about his meat. So I served the ground beef to him. I had him test it like just from the stove, from the Instant Pot, cooked from frozen, cooked from fresh, and then browned on the stove as normal. And he preferred the Instant Pot meat. He said, oh, it's got a really nice texture. There's no little crispy bits. It tastes really good. So that sealed the deal. My kids love it. I love it. And I'm pretty picky about my meat. So it works. It works better than I expected. I sort of tried it expecting it to fail. I tried it again and again and again, and it works. So the biggest things you need to remember is the trivet, 1 cup of water, 20 minutes start, but you want to use a thermometer to make sure that your meat gets to a temperature of 165 before you serve it, before you eat it. And that's the safe temperature for beef and poultry. I like it closer to 180 myself, but I find that 20 minutes, I'm about at 180. So you don't have to look at it and say, oh, is it pink? Is it brown? You just test it with a thermometer, and that'll give you a surefire way to know is it safe if it's not. If you get it out and it's like 159, but you're gonna, saute it with some for chili or taco meat, oh my goodness, just, don't worry about bringing it up to 160 or 165 or 180. Just go ahead and use it as is, break it up, throw it in, and it'll finish cooking in the taco meat or the chili or the beef stroganoff, and you'll be good. Kathy, you buy a half a cow, so this is great to know. Yes, so many times you forget. And moving forward, if I were you guys, buying meat in bulk is the way to go. we used to be very fortunate where, because my husband lived on a farm, we could have half a cow, and so we would get, you know, really good quality meat, and then we would freeze it in small portions. I like to freeze it flat because it cooks faster in the Instant Pot and it takes up less space. I can stack it in my freezer. Now I have to buy meat either from a local farm or from the grocery store. So when I come home, I try to take it out of that styrofoam package if I buy it from the grocery store, because you cannot put styrofoam or that little like little sheet that they put in with the meat to absorb like the nasty blood and liquid from the meat. You don't want to put that in your Instant Pot. That's not safe. And sometimes it'll peel right off of frozen meat, and sometimes it won't. So you can't put that in the microwave. You can't put that in your Instant Pot. It's not safe. And so you definitely want to try to take it out of the package, put it in a freezer safe bag, and put it in your freezer so that you can use it anytime you need to. But anyways, I hope these tips helped. This was something that seemed absolutely insane to me. I thought, why in the world would you want to cook meat this way, like boil it? But it works. I was a skeptic, and now I'm a believer. A few other things that I just want to quickly mention. Would you put your meat in like a frozen brick and just put it into chili and let it cook that way? You could, but all that grease is going to render into your meat. And if you're okay with that, or if you have a really lean cut of meat, by all means go ahead. Once your chili's done cooking, you're still gonna have to break up your meat, just like you would if you put frozen chicken into like chicken chili, and I'm gonna go over that with you guys on Friday. You're gonna have to take your chicken out and shred it. That's fine, it totally works. So it depends on like if you have an 80-20 meat, you're gonna have a lot of grease that renders off as it cooks in your Instant Pot. But that is your call. If you don't mind, or if you like that extra fattiness flavor that the meat renders off, that's fine. I don't, so I cook it on the rack, and then I drain off the meat. When you're draining meat, an important thing, you don't wanna drain it in your sink. So, or like the fat from the meat. This meat that I did today was a 93.7 lean ground sirloin. And so there's really hardly any grease in my liquid. So I feel confident to dump that down. Sometimes I let that meat or the juice, I pour it into a glass jar so that it's heat safe. And then I let the fat come up, render off, and then I just throw that away or scoop that into another ball jar that I save like all the fat in, and then discard it so that it's not getting stuck in my pipes, because plenty of plumbers have had to come out because people just dump grease down their drain, and that's not good for your pipes. So just remember that too. I hope that helped. Today, thank you for watching. As a thank you for watching these videos, we have a chance for you guys to go to a giveaway. It's thrivingonpaleo.com/giveaway, and enter the word of the day. So you can enter every day for multiple chances to win your own 6-quart Instant Pot. And if you already have one, why not enter to win another one? Because, you know, you can have rice cooking and potatoes cooking and meat cooking, and I could probably have 6 of these things if my electrical outlets would handle them all. I love them so much. Oh, thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Angela. I'm so glad you guys found great tips with this. But so enter the giveaway. Today's giveaway word is weeknight, because making frozen meat in your Instant Pot in 20 minutes, and it's under 30 minutes by the time it comes to pressure, and because you do a quick release, is a weeknight lifesaver. And the recipe that Michelle is going to share with you later is a great weeknight meal as well. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for the positive feedback. I love having you guys here. I love giving these tips. I love helping you. And Cindy, we kind of addressed why you wouldn't use the saute, because we're talking about frozen meat. So the frozen meat is not going to cook right on the saute. Some of it's going to brown too quickly. You're going to have to monitor it quickly. So you definitely, we're talking about using frozen meat in your Instant Pot so that you can defrost it and cook it all at once. And it has the same texture as it would if it were sauteed. You just have to break it up once it cooks. But if you have fresh meat, by all means, you use the saute or you brown it on your stove, or you can use the trivet method and cook it in 6 minutes versus 20 minutes. And that's just if you didn't want to manage it or have the grease splatter. So I hope that answered your question, Cindy. And Buddy, the word of the day is weeknight. That's one word, weeknight. And that's because this is an easy weeknight lifesaver. Again, feel free to ask questions if you jump on later and watch this. And don't forget to join in with Michelle on Thriving on Paleo at noon for Instant Pot beef stroganoff. Sure thing, Cindy. I'm glad that answered the question. Okay, guys, take care. Join us here tomorrow, too, at 10 a.m. Eastern. I am going to be talking about Instant Pot yogurt. And I thought, I'll give you like a little teaser. I thought there was no way I was going to make yogurt in my Instant Pot. I just didn't want to take the time. One bite, I fell in love. One bite. The taste of homemade yogurt is unbelievably exceptional. And while the process is long, it's completely hands-off for the most part with the Instant Pot. So I can't wait to show you that tomorrow. I can't wait to walk you through that. And thanks again for joining us. Talk soon. Bye, guys.